Yama Campbell was born in 1999, growing up in Chester, Pennsylvania, a city in Delaware County that he would always call home. Though, for Yama, home was wherever his family was. Yama's family describes him in countless ways. He was a pain in the behind sometimes, but he was resilient, determined, and had the biggest heart. He was the kind of person who would give you the shoes off his feet without a second thought, and he lived his life anchored by the people he loved. His father, Jamar Campbell Sr., once said simply, "Jamar was me." That sentence holds the weight of everything a father sees in a son: pride, love, hope, and a reflection of himself. Yamar's entire life was centered around his family. He was the glue that held birthdays, holidays, and gatherings together. No event was left uncelebrated when Yama was around, and he often took it upon himself to plan family celebrations, making sure everyone was included. It wasn't just about the food or decorations for Yama. It was about creating moments where everyone could be together, laughing, arguing, hugging, and sharing time that would later become memories they would hold on to tightly. His last birthday, the one he celebrated at age 21, was themed around Disney Pixar's Cars, showing that Jamar remained a child at heart. It was an unusual theme for a young adult, but it was precisely the kind of choice that brought a sense of joy and lightness to his family gatherings. His father, looking back, described the day as having an aura, something that made it feel significant. Even if they didn't know at the time it would be Yama's last birthday with them. There was just something in the air that day that told us to remember that day and remember Jamar, his father said. He made sure everyone felt seen, included, and loved during these gatherings. Jamar would often be the one outside early in the morning, shoveling snow from the walkway, mowing the lawn without being asked, or taking the trash bins out for his grandmother. These small, quiet acts of service were just as significant as the loud, joyful celebrations he created. They were evidence of how much he cared, how deeply he loved, and how much responsibility he took for the family he cherished. Yama chose to enter the trades after high school, preferring to use his hands and his energy to build a living for himself rather than attending college. It was not a decision made out of a lack of ambition, but out of practicality and a desire to contribute while maintaining closeness with his family. His passion for helping others extended beyond just family chores. It was evident in how he lived his daily life. Outside of family, Jamar enjoyed fishing, traveling, and had recently found a love for shooting pool. But none of these hobbies ever took priority over the people he loved. His family was always his top priority, and he made sure they knew it. Whether by showing up with a smile at a cousin's birthday or by quietly shoveling snow before anyone else woke up. Yama's mother, Tawana Griffin, carries the memory of her son's dedication in everything she does now. His absence is felt in the quiet moments when she realizes she hasn't heard his voice or laughter in a while. And it echoes in the empty spaces during family gatherings where Yama would have been the one cracking jokes, playing music, or bringing everyone together for a photo. Jamar was not just a son, brother, and grandson. He was a young man full of life, love, and commitment to those he cared about. His story, even before the tragedy that would later strike, is one of community, connection, and family. His life was a reminder that the everyday moments matter just as much as the big celebrations. The small acts of kindness, the care for family, and the laughter shared during ordinary days are the true markers of a life well lived. As you watch this, take a moment to think about those in your life who hold your family together, who bring joy to ordinary days, and who show up without being asked. Cherish them. Let them know you see their love and appreciate it. Because, like Yama's family now understands, you never know when those everyday moments will become memories you will hold on to forever. 2 weeks before his death, Yama Campbell's life changed in a way that many young men dream of. He became a father. His baby girl was born in October 2020, and from the moment she entered the world, Jamar made her the center of his universe, just as he had done with his family throughout his life. His family described how Jamar spent every moment he could with his newborn daughter, eager to hold her, feed her, and simply sit near her, watching her breathe, blink, and stretch her tiny hands. Jamar did not shy away from fatherhood, even at just 21 years old. Instead, he stepped into this new chapter with the same quiet determination he showed when shoveling snow for his grandmother or organizing family birthdays. For Jamar, becoming a father was not a burden, it was a blessing. His family saw the joy in his eyes when he looked at his daughter, and they knew he intended to be the kind of father who would show up to every birthday, help with every first day of school, and ensure his daughter always felt loved and supported. He talked about plans, about working hard to give her a good life, about teaching her to ride a bike, about taking her fishing one day, just as he had enjoyed fishing himself. But as his family later shared, his beautiful baby girl, never getting to know her father is one of the hardest feelings we are left with. That statement captures the depth of their grief, knowing the man who loved them so fiercely and was ready to give that same love to his daughter would not be there to watch her grow up. In those last days of Yamar's life, he balanced his new role as a father with his work and his responsibilities at home. He would spend the early mornings working or helping his grandmother, the afternoons with his family, and the evenings trying to catch moments of rest while checking on his baby. Despite the exhaustion that can come with caring for a newborn, Jamar never lost his warmth or sense of humor. His family remembers how he would still find time to shoot pool with friends when he could, or take a moment to watch a movie with family, ensuring that even in these busy days, the connection he valued most remained intact. Yamar's priorities were clear, and he never wavered from them. Family first, always. These moments of love and responsibility are what his mother, Tawana Griffin, holds on to now. The way Yamar would call to check in on her, the way he would appear at the house with a smile, ready to help, and the way he talked about his plans for his daughter's future. These memories are heavy with both love and loss, a reminder of what was and what could have been. His father, Yamar Campbell Sr., saw the pride in his son's eyes as he held his daughter, the same pride he himself felt, seeing his son embrace fatherhood. For Yamar Sr., seeing his son love his child was a reflection of the values he had tried to pass down, a legacy of family, care, and presence. Despite the demands of a new baby, Yamar's commitment to family gatherings and helping around the home never wavered. He would still take out the trash for his grandmother, help prepare for family meals, and be present for any gathering, big or small. His daughter, even in those first 2 weeks, was included in these moments, cradled in the arms of a father who wanted her to know the warmth of family from the very beginning. The days before Yamar's death were filled with the small, everyday moments that define a life: a newborn's cry in the early morning, a quick trip to the store, laughter over lunch with family, and quiet moments holding his daughter, whispering promises he fully intended to keep. But none of them knew these would be the last days they would have with Yamar. His mother did not know that the calls she received from him would be the last ones where she would hear his voice. His daughter would not know that the arms that held her with such tenderness would not be there for her first steps, her first words, or her first day of school. These days, ordinary yet profound, became the final chapter of Yamar's life. They are now preserved in the memories of those who loved him, reminders of who he was, a young father determined to love his child, a son committed to his family, and a man who believed in showing up for the people he cared about. If you are a parent, a sibling, a child, or a friend, let this part of Yamar's story remind you to be present with those you love. Take the time to hold your loved ones, tell them you love them, and make memories, even in the small moments. These moments may one day be the memories that keep you going when words and calls are no longer possible. On the night of October 28, 2020, the thread holding the Campbell family together was suddenly, violently cut. That day started like so many before it. Jamar Campbell, at just 21 years old, had been going about his normal routine, balancing time between work, caring for his newborn daughter, and helping his family however he could. But by nightfall, a silence settled that his family felt deep in their bones. Yamar's mother, Tawana Griffin, remembers that silence vividly. It started with something small, a missed phone call, a text that went unanswered. For some people, a missed call might not mean much, but for Yamar's family, it meant everything. Yamar never missed calls, he never ignored his mother's messages, and he never failed to take care of his grandmother's trash bins, always making sure they were out by the street on time. That night, the trash bins stayed where they were. Tawana's calls went straight to voicemail. The small signs that something wasn't right began to weigh on her more and more as the hours passed. Only a mother's instinct could know for certain what was wrong. Even without evidence, Tawana felt it deep inside, that heavy feeling that something had happened to her son. Her mind turned over all the possible explanations. Maybe he was with a friend. Maybe his phone had died, maybe he'd fallen asleep at a cousin's house, but each excuse felt thinner than the last. Her last words to Yamar that night, during a brief phone conversation, still echo in her mind. "I love you," she said. "Come home." But Yamar did not come home. Somewhere in Chester, Pennsylvania, Yamar was alone inside his Toyota Camry. At just 21 years old, he was found unresponsive in the driver's seat. Numerous gunshot wounds had left him with no chance of survival. Paramedics were called to the scene, but there was nothing they could do. Yamar was pronounced dead right there, in the car that once carried him to work, to family gatherings, and to the hospital to see his newborn daughter. The police were there. The ambulance lights cut through the night, but none of this noise. The commotion, the tape pulled around the car, none of it reached Yamar's family in time to prepare them for what they were about to learn. It wasn't a phone call from the police that brought the news. It wasn't an officer at the door or a knock in the middle of the night. Instead, it was a news article. Tawana and the rest of Yamar's family woke up the next morning to read a local report that a car had been found with a gunshot victim inside. The article included just enough description of the car for them to know, without a single doubt, that the victim was there. Yamar. There were no goodbyes in person. There was no time to hold his hand or sit with him in a hospital, hoping for a miracle. One moment he was there, a son, a father, a brother, a grandson, and the next he was gone. A headline in the morning paper. The same young man who always answered his mother's calls, who always made sure to shovel his grandmother's walkway before she woke up, who never let a family celebration pass by unnoticed, was now a memory and a story the family would have to tell in his place. Chester, Pennsylvania. The place Yamar had always called home was now also the place where his life was taken. There are no words that can fully describe the weight of that reality for his family. It wasn't just about losing a young man with a future ahead of him. It was losing the heart of every birthday party, the extra pair of hands always ready to help, and the father who would have watched his daughter grow up, one milestone at a time. His family was left to ask the same questions that linger in countless homes touched by gun violence. Why him? Why then? How could this happen? The answers did not come that night, and in many ways, they still haven't come. The news article that told them Yamar was gone didn't tell them why he was gone, or who had done this, or what it meant for the child he left behind. His car, once a symbol of freedom and responsibility, taking him from work to home, from family dinners to late-night pool games with friends, became the place where his story ended. The silence that Tawana had felt that night, when her calls went unanswered, was the beginning of a silence that would settle in their home long after the police tape came down and the article faded from the front page. His mother still thinks about that silence every day. She thinks about the sound of her own voice saying, "I love you, come home," and the hollow ache that comes from knowing he never did. In a family where Yamar was the glue that held everyone together, his absence is felt in every empty seat at a holiday table, every unshoveled driveway after the first snow, every trash bin that now waits at the curb, reminding them of the small things he did without needing to be asked. Call to action. If you are listening to this story, let your final night remind you that a single act of violence can ripple through generations. Families like Yamar's carry that loss every day. Stand with them, speak out against senseless violence, and remember Yamar, not for the way he died, but for the way he lived, present, loving, and always showing up for the people he loved. Most after October 28, 2020, memories were all the Campbell family had left of Yamar. The house that was once filled with his voice and laughter became quieter. His absence was felt in ways that words could not fully describe, touching every part of their daily lives. His mother, Tawana Griffin, carried the weight of her last words to him. "I love you, come home." She would replay those words in her mind, wondering what might have happened in those final moments, and wishing she could have been there to protect her son. For a mother who knew the rhythm of her child's life so well, the sudden, violent disruption was a wound that did not heal. Yamar's father, Yamar Campbell Sr., felt the loss as deeply. A father's pride in seeing his son grow into a man, become a father himself, and take on responsibilities with a strong, quiet dedication was replaced with the aching knowledge that he would never see what Yamar's future could have been. There would be no more phone calls from his son, no more shared moments, no fishing trips, no discussions about plans for the future. The family gatherings that Jamar once organized and held together now felt incomplete. Jamar was always the one, ensuring that birthdays were celebrated, no matter how small, and that holidays were moments of connection for everyone. He planned his own birthdays, making sure they were filled with laughter and family. His last birthday, themed around Disney Pixar's Cars, was remembered as one of the best by his family, filled with joy, unaware that it would be the last time they would celebrate with him. Now, the family holds on to that day, remembering how his father described a special aura in the air, something that felt like a reminder to cherish that moment. It is a memory that brings both warmth and sorrow, a reminder of what they had and what they lost. Yamar's grandmother feels his absence, in the quiet moments when the trash bins remain by the house, untouched, waiting for the young man who never missed taking them out. The simple acts that Jamar did for his family, like mowing the lawn or shoveling the snow, were more than chores. They were daily reminders of his love and commitment to those he cared about. The deepest part of the family's grief is tied to the child Yamar left behind. His newborn daughter, who will grow up without her father, is a constant reminder of both hope and heartbreak. The family often thinks about what Jamar would have been like as a father, how he would have taught her to walk, to ride a bike, and to face the world with the same resilience he showed. They know he would have been there for every birthday, every scraped knee, every report card, and every moment that mattered. Now, the family steps in to fill the void he left behind, making sure his daughter knows who her father was. They tell her stories about how kind he was, how much he loved his family, and how deeply he loved her. Even in the brief time he had with her, they want her to know that she was loved by him from the very beginning, even if he cannot be there to show her himself. In the aftermath of Yamar's death, his family has found themselves navigating a world that feels different without him in it. Every holiday, every family meal, and every quiet moment is touched by the absence of the young man, who was the center of their gatherings and the glue of their family. For the community of Chester, Pennsylvania, Yamar's death is a reminder of the violence that can steal lives and futures in an instant. It is a reminder that behind every statistic is a person who is loved, who had dreams, and who is connected to others in ways that matter deeply. For Yamar's family, his legacy is in the way he lived. It is in the love he gave freely, the time he spent with family, and the small, everyday acts of service that showed his commitment to those he loved. It is in the way he stepped into fatherhood with pride and responsibility, determined to be present for his daughter's life. His story is not just about the tragedy of his death, but about the life he lived, a life centered on family, marked by love, and filled with moments that brought people together. It is about the way he showed up for people, the way he made them feel seen and cared for, and the way he brought warmth into the lives of those around him. As his family continues to live with the pain of his absence, they also continue to honor his memory by holding on to the values he embodied: love for family, the importance of community, and the need to show up for one another, even in small, everyday moments. Call to action. If you take one thing from Jamar Campbell's story, let it be this: cherish the people around you while you have them. Show up for your family and friends, not just during celebrations, but in the small moments that build connection. Speak out against violence in your communities, and support the families who live with its aftermath every day. Yamar's story is a reminder that every moment matters, and that the way we love and care for others can leave a legacy that lasts beyond our time.
She had a heart of gold. She always helped anybody, and you can ask any of her friends or family, and she was there when they needed her.
A life of compassion and love of destiny, Bocanegra was a woman remembered not only for her beauty, but more so for the way she poured her heart into the lives of everyone around her. She was a beacon of kindness, offering love and support to anyone in need. Her mother, Lisa Vega Alva, remembers her daughter's generosity clearly. Her friends that she brought into our home, that were without parents, she'd always bring them here, and we would feed everybody. Lisa shared, Destiny's presence was magnetic. Her long black hair and signature full lips made her stand out, but it was her heart that people never forgot. Friends and family were drawn to her warmth. She often took in those less fortunate, and her compassion extended beyond just people. She had a nurturing soul. One Thanksgiving, the family had a moment of joy that has become a cherished memory. Destiny had been asked to bring in 2 big spoonfuls of stuffing. Instead, she emerged holding 2 giant spoons. It was a simple misunderstanding, but it lit up the room with laughter. That memory continues to bring smiles to the family. As a nursing assistant, she devoted her career to caring for others. It was clear that service and love were central to who she was. Destiny's
gunshots, she dove towards Mikey to block him, and she ended up dying with him in her arms because she went to block him to save him.
Saturday, April 21st, 2018, started like many others. After her shift as a nursing assistant, Destiny returned home to visit her family. Her younger sister Elizabeth was getting ready for prom, and Destiny brought her flowers to celebrate. It was a small gesture that carried the weight of love and support. Later that evening, Destiny, her son Mikey, and her boyfriend left for Chuck E. Cheese. It was meant to be just another night, but tragedy struck in Bonita Springs, Florida. Elizabeth was enjoying her prom night when she got a call from Destiny's phone. Thinking it was her sister, she answered casually, but instead of Destiny's voice, there was a man on the other end, shaky and scared. He said something had happened. Then she heard a scream from her 4-year-old nephew, Titai. Titai, my mummy's been shot. Destiny had been the victim of a drive-by shooting. The shots were not meant for her, but for her friends who owned the house she was visiting. In those final moments, Destiny shielded her son from the bullets. One of those bullets pierced her heart. She died at 25 years old. She was also pregnant. Her family later learned she was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
A young mother, that except falling to the ground. He knows that she's gone, and we have to teach him.
She died a hero. Someone knows who fired those shots. Speak up. Honor her bravery with truth. Her family grieving and remembering Destiny. His family has been left with a void that cannot be filled. Her mother, Lisa, and her sister Elizabeth continue to keep her memory alive every day. There isn't a conversation where Destiny's name doesn't come up. Her photographs are everywhere in their home, not just as decoration, but as a reminder of love and loss. Her son, Mikey, is now 11 years old. He looks just like his mother, same expressions, same mannerisms. It's both a comfort and a constant reminder of what was taken from them. Holidays, once filled with joy, now carry the heavy shadow of her absence, but one symbol brings her family a glimmer of peace. Cardinals, bright red birds that appear when least expected. Cardinals have come to represent Destiny. Her mother says, when I am crying and just really in need, a cardinal will show up, and I know that that is my sign. Her grave is located close to the family's home. They visit often, continuing to talk to her, bringing her flowers, and seeking peace. If you see a cardinal, remember Destiny. Help her family find justice. They live with her loss daily. Don't let them live without answers. Still waiting for justice. Years have passed since Destiny's murder, and yet her family remains without justice. The people who opened fire that night have never been identified. Though the family believes Destiny's friends were the intended targets, no arrests have been made. Lisa speaks candidly about the pain. My life is shattered because we still have no justice. For families like the Bocanegra's, time doesn't heal all wounds. The pain remains fresh with each passing day. Destiny was more than a statistic. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother, a protector. The family has worked tirelessly to keep her name and story alive, but they cannot solve this alone. Someone knows what happened that night. Someone knows who pulled the trigger. This section will emphasize the emotional toll of an unsolved case. It's a wound left open, not just by the shooter, but by the silence of witnesses. Don't let silence win. If you know anything about what happened to Destiny Bocanegra, it's time to come forward. Justice cannot wait any longer. Her legacy lives on even in death. Destiny continues to inspire. Her son Mikey is growing up surrounded by love and stories about his mom. Her family makes sure he knows who she was: brave, beautiful, selfless. Elizabeth says Mikey's presence is a daily reminder of Destiny. His expressions, the way he talks, the way he moves, it's as if a part of Destiny lives through him. When Elizabeth travels, she brings Destiny with her in spirit. On her trips, she carries a photo or wears something that reminds her of her sister. The pain hasn't lessened, but it has been shaped into purpose. The Bocanegra family has turned grief into action. They speak her name. They keep her memory visible. They demand answers, not just for themselves, but for other families still living in the shadows of unsolved murders. Call to action. Destiny Bocanegra was a hero, a mother, and a daughter. Her legacy lives on in every act of love. Share her story. Raise your voice. Bring justice to her name. Destiny Bocanegra's case remains unsolved, but her life defined by love, kindness, and sacrifice deserves to be remembered. Her story is not over until there is justice. We must continue to speak her name. If you have any information related to the murder of Destiny Bocanegra, contact local authorities or reach out anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Your voice matters. Joseph Mullins was born on March 29, 1957, in Ohio, the second oldest of 6 siblings in a family known for its closeness. From his earliest days, Joseph was the kind of person everyone gravitated toward: kind-hearted, funny, and natural builder. Whether it was crafting tree houses, building BMX tracks for his stepsons, or lending a hand in renovations, Joseph found joy in creating things for those he loved. He didn't just build things, he built connections. His bond with his younger sister Lynette, 11 years his junior, became one of the most important relationships in his life. After losing 2 siblings, Joseph became fiercely protective of Lynette. He spoiled her, guided her, and was always there when she needed him. "He was my hero," Lynette said. "He taught me to drive, picked me up when I was in trouble."
Yeah, it's a story that has people in the small town talking. The folks we spoke with didn't know Joseph Mullins, but they're all wondering the same thing.
Showed his treehouse lit up for Christmas, captioned, "Do you think Santa will see it?" He never got an answer. On December 19, 2014, 6 days before Christmas, Joseph was reported missing by his wife. She had come home to find him gone. At first, she assumed he was visiting a friend, something not out of the ordinary, but when she called to check, the friend hadn't seen him. Alarmed, they began looking. The next day, Lynette received a call from the Portage County Sheriff's Office. She immediately began reaching out to friends and family. Over the next 10 days, she drove 5 hours from West Virginia to Ohio multiple times. Searching for answers, she also received one last voicemail from her brother. In it, "Joseph," he said, "I know you're doing your shopping with the deputies. Have fun. Call me later. I love you."
Patron. She told them no.
It's just really sad for the community that something like this could happen here, and everybody's really tight-knit, and it's just sad. It's sad for the family.
No signs of forced entry. The only things missing were his keys and his phone. 10 days after his disappearance, on December 29th, Joseph's body was found near the Warehouse District in Cleveland, approximately 30 miles from his home. Initially reported by a homeless man with an incorrect location, it was a coal barge worker who finally pinpointed the site. Joseph had been brutally beaten. The coroner ruled his death a homicide, caused by blunt force trauma to his head and face. It was a violent, personal act. The family's worst fears were confirmed. "There's no way to express it," Lynette said. "It changes you. A part of you never heals." Despite the evidence, the investigation failed to generate momentum. Theories floated by law enforcement included Joseph possibly leaving on his own. A claim Lynette.
Yeah, it's just, when somebody comes up missing around a small town, everybody hears about it right away, and it's just sad,
His family would worry. Blood evidence and the state of the scene pointed to foul play, not a runaway. Police suggested Joseph may have gone outside thinking someone familiar had arrived. That may have been when the attack occurred. Lynette believes the investigation suffered from the timing coming during the busy holiday season. As a law enforcement employee herself, she recognized signs of a deprioritized case. To make things worse, undisclosed police speculation created rifts in the family, increasing Lynette's emotional burden. By 2022, she had lost her 2 remaining brothers. She is now Joseph's last living sibling. Lynette took her pain and turned it into purpose. She became a victim advocate for her local sheriff's department in West Virginia. Since 2023, she's hosted an annual vigil to honor murder victims. Her mission is deeply personal. "I can't forgive, because I don't know who to forgive," she said. "My brother is in the ground, and his killer is walking free. It drives me insane." She remembers Joseph for who he was, a vibrant, hilarious, selfless man. someone who danced every morning and went on wild Jeep adventures with his stepsons, someone who brought joy and never left people behind.
The sheriff's office says an autopsy is being done. They're awaiting the results. They also say if you know anything, to please give them a call. We're in Manaway Village. I'm Michael Baldwin, News Channel 5.
Randy Church was born on September 26, 1961, in the small town of Havre, Montana, the fourth child of Richard and Darlene Church. Randy grew up surrounded by a large, close-knit family that included his siblings Rick, Robert, Ruby, and Mary, Randy's sister. Ruby remembers him fondly. Randy was the golden child. She said he was a very soft child. He got along with everyone from a young age. Randy was always on the move, riding his bike, visiting cousins, building model rockets, or working odd jobs like shining shoes.
We live this every day and have been since February of 1985. It's there. It's a part of our life, and it sucks.
To earn money. One childhood memory remains especially vivid in Ruby's mind. One day after an argument with one of their brothers, Randy pushed on a glass screen door, shattering it and cutting his wrist badly. Their parents rushed him to the emergency room. Ruby recalled how their father fainted at the sight of all the blood collapsing into a laundry bin. That moment became part of the family lore, highlighting not only Randy's gentleness but the deep bond they all shared from a boy full of energy and kindness to a young man filled with dreams. Randy's early life was rooted in family love and a relentless drive to work hard. He was only 23 when he died, but he lived like he had forever. Randy's ambitions took him to Bozeman, Montana, where he enrolled at Montana State University with a GPA of 3, for he was pursuing a degree in electrical engineering, a field he was excited to enter. Like many students, Randy juggled classes and work. He was employed at the local Pizza Hut in Bozeman, and through dedication and reliability, he rose to the role of shift manager. Co-workers described him as easy to work with, responsible, and the kind of person who could be counted on. Randy was known for being a meticulous closer.
It's got to be an effort that's supported by, the upper levels, and I think that that support up until now anyway, or up until recently, has not been there.
Someone who stayed late to ensure every task was done right. That diligence would tragically place him in harm's way in February 1985.
I was very surprised they never found the killer up to now. I was totally surprised. I'm like, what? This happens often where they don't find the killer? Are you kidding me?
Randy volunteered to pick up an extra shift. He closed the store that night and was scheduled to open it the next morning. The events of that night remain painfully clear. Even 40 years later, Randy sent his co-workers home around midnight. As usual, he stayed behind to deep clean. At approximately 3 a.m. he was alone, the last person in the restaurant. The following morning, a co-worker came to open when no one answered the front or back doors. She called the general manager. What they found inside was every family's worst nightmare. Randy's body was discovered on the floor near the cash register. He had been shot twice. The register was empty. He was 23 years old, despite a clear time window. No eyewitnesses have come forward, no fingerprints or security footage. No suspect was ever publicly identified. This remains Bozeman's only unsolved homicide in over 4 decades. On February 14, 1985, Valentine's Day, the Church family buried their youngest son. Ruby remembers the funeral vividly, a sea of flowers and faces, and a pain that would never leave. She describes it as one of the worst days of her entire life. Grief did not fade with time. Every birthday, every milestone, every holiday became a reminder of what was stolen for the Church family. Randy's death didn't end in 1985. It began a lifetime of heartbreak and silence. The loss of a son, a brother, a friend remains as raw today as it did decades ago. But Randy's story doesn't end there. His sister Ruby has refused to let his memory be buried with him. Every week Ruby posts on social media. She runs a Facebook group dedicated to her brother's case, sharing his story, pleading for information, and keeping the pressure alive. She's also been instrumental in the creation of the Randy Church Scholarship Award, a tribute at Montana State for students in electrical and computer engineering in Randy's name. Future engineers continue to dream. Ruby remains steadfast. I won't give up. I need answers. Her determination echoes across decades of unanswered questions. Justice for Randy Church. Somebody knows something. Edgar Vasquez was born the oldest of 3 children in Willowbrook, California. From the start, his life came with responsibility. With an absent father, Edgar stepped into a role many boys his age never experienced, that of a father figure, a caretaker, and a leader within the home. His mother, Gabriela Moreno, says Edgar was special from the very beginning. At the end of the day, Edgar would always be there for mom and siblings, she said. He knew that example mattered, and he lived like it. As a child and teenager, Edgar earned the nickname Mr. Cool Guy. He had an easy charm and the ability to get along with anyone. His popularity didn't make him arrogant, it made him inclusive. He welcomed everyone into his circle, never too busy to give someone his time. He swam, skateboarded, played soccer, and even learned the drums. He ran the LA Marathon in 2013, showing the same determination in athletics that he brought to every part of his life. His family and longtime girlfriend Ashley were always central. Edgar and Ashley began dating in middle school and remained a couple into their early 20s. His cousin, Andrea Ramirez, recalls summers spent at their grandmother's house watching. I can't name you the Disney princesses," Andrea joked, "but I can name you all of the WWE wrestlers." Edgar made everyone feel important. His loyalty to family, his upbeat personality, and his ambitions set him apart. He wasn't just growing, he was leading. He played in a local band as a drummer, and to help his family financially. Edgar began working the night shift at the City of Hope Medical Center as a security officer. He never lost sight of what mattered most, providing for those he loved. July 6, 2020, began like any other. Edgar wasn't scheduled to work that night, but when the hospital reached out asking if he could fill in, he didn't hesitate. His mom recalls him saying, "You know, I'm tired, but I am going to go." That was the kind of person Edgar was, responsible and committed. Later that evening, Gabriela heard the sound of running water. Edgar was showering, getting ready for his shift afterward. She and her daughter walked him to his car and said goodbye. Just minutes later, gunshots echoed through the alley behind their home. Inside the house, Edgar's younger brother Angel was sitting on the couch. He and Gabriela rushed to call Edgar, panic setting in when there was no answer. They ran toward the sound of gunfire, desperate to find him. In the alley, a voice called out, "It's Edgar, it's Edgar." He was inside his car, the doors locked, the windows rolled up. He wasn't moving. The worst part was, I didn't know how to help him. Angel remembers. The first thing was to call 911 to help, and then I was just calling his name to get him to stay with me. Emergency responders arrived and rushed Edgar to the hospital. Shortly after midnight, on July 7, 2020, Edgar Vasquez was pronounced dead. He had been shot in the moments after pulling away from his own home, on his way to work, trying to help support his family. The person who pulled the trigger disappeared, leaving no trace. Edgar's murder stunned his family and community. It had happened so fast, just minutes after he left the driveway. The alley was residential. Someone had to have seen or heard something. But even in the days that followed, no witnesses came forward. No suspects were identified. The investigation lost momentum. The family was left with only questions. Why Edgar? Was he targeted? Was it random? Could he have been mistaken for someone else? Why did no one come forward? The lack of answers added another layer of pain to their grief. The alley where he died sits behind his family's home, a place where he once played, where laughter once echoed, where now only silence remains. 5 years later, the silence continues. No progress, no arrests, no closure for Gabriela, Angel, and the rest of the family. The tragedy didn't just rob them of Edgar, it left them in a world where the person responsible walks free. The case has gone cold, and the community's silence still looms. Though Edgar is gone, his presence is still deeply felt. Angel, once consumed by anger, has slowly found a way to turn his grief into growth. He now views life through a different lens, one shaped by empathy and love. "I've just learned from his path," he says. His mistakes and his accomplishments, the lessons Edgar left behind, to work hard, to be kind, to take risks, continue to shape his brother's life. Andrea, his cousin, carries Edgar's image with her, literally. She takes a shirt with his face printed on it wherever she travels. When she stood in Times Square, thousands of miles from Willowbrook, Edgar was there too, in spirit, in memory, in fabric. "It's just a small detail that I do," Andrea explains, "because I know that if he were alive today, we'd be going to these places together." the family holds tight to their memories of him. From jokes with his abuelita Irene to long summer days in front of the TV, pretending to be wrestlers, Edgar is remembered not just for how he died, but for how he lived. Today, the family continues to grieve, but they also fight for justice, for answers, and for Edgar's legacy. Gabriella and Angel still remember the exact moment their lives were changed. That night replays in their minds in fragments: a shower, a goodbye, a car door, gunshots. 5 years is a long time to wait, but they won't give up. Angel carries his brother's memory forward every day, and Andrea continues her quiet tribute, traveling with her cousin's shirt and the belief that his life still means something, even in his absence. The community may have moved on, but for Edgar's family, time hasn't healed. It has only clarified how deeply he is missed. The hope now is that by telling his story, someone will come forward. This isn't just another unsolved murder. This is the story of a young man who went to work to help his family and never came home. If you know anything about the murder of Edgar Vasquez on the night of July 6, 2020, in Willowbrook, California, please contact your local authorities or crime tip lines. Even the smallest detail might be the missing piece. Share Edgar's story. Speak his name. Justice for Edgar is long overdue, and his family is still waiting.